Tonight, more confirmed deaths.
I just want to come down and say thanks.
The president takes on the role of consoler-in-chief.
Continuing searching is something that's very, very important.
As the search and rescue effort in the Florida condo collapse stretches into another desperate day. And
Donald J. Trump.
More from the border.
We're talking about drugs. We're talking about human trafficking.
The humanitarian crisis at the U.S.-Mexico dividing line. Plus,
the withdrawal will make these vulnerable communities even more vulnerable. It's as simple as that.
More unintended consequences as the U.S. prepares to end the war in Afghanistan. All this and more on Faith Nation. Welcome to this Thursday edition of Faith Nation. I'm Wendy Griffith. Tonight, President Biden fresh off a trip to Surfside, Florida, where he met with family members and first responders of the deadly condo collapse. This as two more bodies were pulled from the rubble today, both children. Our CBN News White House correspondent Eric Phillips joins us now with the latest. Eric.
Wendy, the president pledged that families and first responders, as well as the community there in Florida, would have the federal government support as long as it's needed. And that begins with financial help. The president saying Washington will fit 100% of the bill for the first 30 days of this operation, at least.
We're not going anywhere.
Thank you, Mr. President.
For real.
The president and First Lady traveling to Surfside, Florida, exactly 1 week after the condo collapse that's left dozens missing and at least 18 confirmed dead.
It is also with great sorrow, real pain, that I have to share with you that two of these were children, aged 4 and 10.
They were identified as 10-year-old Lucia and 4-year-old Emma. Their parents also killed in the collapse.
There's going to be a lot of pain and anxiety and suffering and even need for psychological help in the days and months that follow.
Biden says he can help there too. He met with first responders to personally thank them for their work over this tough week.
What you're doing here is incredible. Having to deal with the uncertainty and worrying about, the families. Anyway, thank you.
Search operations were halted overnight Thursday because of fear the remaining structure could crumble.
Concern assessors included 6 to 12 inches of movement in a large column hanging from the structure that could fall and cause damage to the support columns in the subterranean garage area.
This as disturbing new video surfaces, taken just 7 minutes before the collapse. It shows water gushing into the garage below the building, as well as debris on the ground. All this as officials are keeping an eye on the forecast as severe weather is threatening that area. Officials say that would hamper, but not completely stop efforts there at the site.
Yeah, not what they need right now. Eric, thank you so much for that latest report. Well, turning now to the devastating heat wave that's hit the Northwest, as well as parts of the East Coast. The death toll from the heat in Canada, Oregon, and Washington may be in the hundreds, most of those fatalities in Canada. Oregon health officials say Wednesday that more than 60 deaths may be tied to the heat there. In Multnomah County, the highest number of 911 calls for medical emergencies ever, more than they would normally see for an entire summer. Spokane, Washington hit 109 on Tuesday, and people there have been trying to keep cool.
Most of the time we try and stay inside, or we've been in the water. I don't like to take the kids out unless we're in water. It's just too hot, and it's honestly not safe. Our power actually got shut off in our whole neighborhood last week, and so we were without air conditioning, and it was miserable. It was bad.
Wow. Seattle and other cities shattered all-time heat records during the last several days. Well, tonight, progressive Democrats are fighting to include climate change provisions in a tough-fought bipartisan infrastructure deal. Today, Democrats in the House passed a $715 billion bill focused on transportation and water projects that take into account a warmer climate. Republicans warned the law would lead to job losses by shifting away from oil and coal industries. The House vote comes amid a fragile deal between the White House and a bipartisan group of senators. Here with us now is Congressman Ro Khanna, a Democrat from California. Congressman, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me back.
Well, how worried are you that this House-passed bill could dash President Biden's bipartisan infrastructure deal with Republicans in the Senate?
I'm not concerned. The bill has a lot of overlap when it comes to investing in our roads, our bridges, our critical infrastructure. The House bill goes a bit further in largely investing in our water safety to make sure that we don't have lead pipes, to make sure we have modern water infrastructure, and has certain further provisions on broadband. But my hope is we can pass the bipartisan bill, and then separately Democrats can pass the parts of this bill that aren't in that bipartisan bill.
Could a bill like this one passed today end up costing oil and gas industry jobs, though?
No, I mean, I don't see the argument for why that's the case. I mean, this is actually going to create millions of jobs. Now, it does incentivize, in certain cases, renewable energy jobs, but that doesn't affect the industry, the fossil fuel industry. What we're talking about is building new sources of energy, diversifying communities.
The nation and the world are seeing unprecedented heat this summer, as we just reported. More than 60 deaths already in Oregon attributed to the heat. Your state, California, is shattering temperature records this summer. Yeah. Is this the new normal, Congressman?
Well, I think it really begs the question on climate change. I mean, climate change is not some theoretical issue. We've seen drier weather. We've seen hotter weather. In my state, it's causing wildfires. And other places, it's caused extreme rainstorms. It's affected in the past time, which is the Midwest, in terms of storms and horrendous climate. So we need to deal with this challenge and look at the science. And that's what many of us in Congress want to do.
As I'm sure you're aware, we're heading into wildfire season. In a meeting with White House officials and Western state governors yesterday, President Biden said, quote, wildfires are not a partisan phenomenon. They don't stop at a county or a state line, yet climate change is an incredibly divisive issue. Is this an issue you, as a progressive Democrat, are willing to compromise on?
Sure. I mean, look, wildfires aren't a partisan issue. I mean, wildfires are about making sure we have prescribed burns. Wildfires are about making sure we have investments in keeping the PG&E power lines safe and not sparking accidental fires. It's about making sure we have the technology to identify it. And it's about tackling climate change so you don't have drier and hotter weather. I'm open to good faith negotiations on how we tackle climate change. I was a sponsor of Francis Rooney's approach, a Republican from Florida, saying, let's have some carbon tax, but give the dividends back to working families. There are a number of proposals that I think across the aisle to help us deal with this challenge and to create jobs.
Well, we certainly pray for California as the wildfire season approaches, and pray that it's nothing to report. That would be good news, wouldn't it?
Well, that would be, and you're very kind to offer your prayers. We could use them this summer.
Congressman, thanks so much for being with us today. We appreciate your insights.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, tonight, the Supreme Court is upholding a controversial Arizona voting law, a victory for those who say the law focuses on election integrity. The court voted 6-3 to uphold voting restrictions put in place by Arizona Republicans. The ruling could make it harder for Democrats to challenge election integrity measures in other states. The decision reversed a lower court ruling in which the Democratic National Committee argued that Arizona's limits on how and where ballots are cast were racially discriminatory and violated the Voting Rights Act. However, the court in this session did uphold Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, rejecting a GOP challenge in the Fulton decision. The court ruled in favor of a Catholic foster care agency that would not work with same-sex couples. Also, in a major free speech decision, the court decided that a Pennsylvania high school violated the First Amendment rights of a cheerleader by punishing her for using vulgar language that criticized the school on social media. And the court ruled unanimously that the NCAA cannot place limits on education-related benefits student athletes can receive for playing college sports. So there's the rundown. Well, joining us now is Zach Smith, legal fellow in the Meese Center for Legal and Judicial Studies at the Heritage Foundation. Zach, thanks for being with us.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me on.
Well, that was quite the rundown. I'm sure you're familiar with it, but the Supreme Court's decision overturns the Ninth Circuit's ruling that disregarding provisional ballots submitted at the wrong precinct and the law making it a felony to submit another person's ballot violates Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. What does Section 2 say? Help us understand this.
Yeah, so the Voting Rights Act, specifically Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, is intended to make sure that everyone has an open and fair opportunity to participate in the political process. And so obviously Arizona's law had been challenged. Opponents of the law said it had a disparate impact on Black and minority voters. But the court looked at the data, looked at the information, looked at the legal theories, and said that Arizona's requirement that voters cast their ballot in their assigned precinct on Election Day and its prohibition on vote trafficking did not violate either Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act or, with respect to the vote trafficking provision, also did not violate the 15th Amendment. And legally speaking, I think that's the correct decision, and it's really an encouraging one as many states grapple with these very difficult issues.
So the voting restrictions from Arizona are mired in controversy. Should they be?
No, I don't think so. As the court explained very well in its opinion, these are common sense restrictions that when you view them in the totality of the electoral scheme in Arizona, really, Arizona has made voting very easy. Just because voting may not be as convenient as a particular voter would like, or there may be incidental burdens to voting, does not mean that Arizona is trying to discriminate against certain voters, or that they've acted inappropriately or illegally under either the relevant laws or the Constitution. And so I think this is an important decision, and one that, again, will be very important as many other states grapple with these very same issues.
Zach, what does this mean now for voting rights in Arizona, and could it influence the nation possibly?
Well, it absolutely could influence the nation. You know, I think it means that Arizona's law that they enacted to protect their electoral process will remain in place, which is encouraging. And then it also has important ramifications for the recent lawsuit that the Department of Justice filed against the state of Georgia. And in fact, one of the allegations that the Biden DOJ made against the state of Georgia was that its out-of-precinct policy, which was similar to Arizona's, discriminated against Black and minority voters. But in light of today's decision in Branovich versus the DNC, it seems likely that the Department of Justice will either have to dismiss or revise its complaint in its lawsuit against Georgia.
Yeah, so you probably already touched on this, but just to elaborate, Democrats point to voting laws like the one in Arizona as evidence for the need for a federal election law overhaul. Do laws like this give them ammunition for their cause?
Well, they shouldn't. Again, these are common sense measures designed to help protect the integrity of the electoral process. And as Justice Alito made clear in his opinion today, the state has a legitimate interest in preventing and detecting election fraud. And that's exactly what Arizona and these other states are trying to do with these new election-related measures.
Right. Zach, thanks so much for being with us today on Faith Nation, and have a great 4th. God bless you.
Of course. Have a happy 4th of July.
Well, coming up, today's jobless claims hit a new pandemic low ahead of the unemployment report. What that means for the economy? We'll have that story and more next.
Introducing the CBN Bible from CBN.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. all the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.
This is CBN News Watch.
Thanks for joining us.
Watch breaking news, exclusive stories and programs, credible news reporting.
We show you what's happening in the world and how you can pray about it.
This is CBN News Watch, because truth matters. Weekdays at 5 on the CBN News Channel.
Woohoo! Hi, Superbook fans. Here's something else you'll love. It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh, no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! Whoa!
The Millsburg Falls man coming.
Sorry, pardon me. Sorry, excuse me. Ouch!
Are you getting this?
Earn super points to win daily prizes, too. And so much more! Time to get back to my adventures. See you soon. It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
Young people, millennials, are flocking to church.
It's not an exaggeration to say that we love to meet them and that we love to know their stories.
And welcome back to Faith Nation. Tonight, jobless claims are hitting a new pandemic low. The months-long downward trend giving the labor market hope in an economy still struggling to recover from the effects of pandemic shutdowns. This week's number for unemployment claims are down to 364,000. That means jobless claims fell by 51,000 last week. That's down from the previous week's 415,000. Well, tonight, cases of the coronavirus are up 10% as the CDC warns of a hyper-transmittable Delta variant of COVID-19. In today's White House response team briefing, CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky warning that the Delta variant consists of 25% of the new cases. Even with the Delta variant on the rise, cases were still down 95% this week from the nation's peak back in January. So that's good news. Well, former President Trump jumped back in the political spotlight with a trip to the southern border Wednesday. He used the opportunity to tout his work cracking down on illegal immigration while criticizing President Biden over an unprecedented spike in illegal border crossings. Our CBN News Capitol Hill correspondent Abigail Robertson is with us for more on President Trump's visit. Abigail.
That's right, Wendy. President Trump joined Texas Governor Greg Abbott in a congressional delegation at the southern border on Wednesday, giving a strong rebuke of President Biden's immigration policies.
We had the border so closed, the best ever.
Trump claims under the Biden administration, people are crossing at numbers we've never seen before.
You know, I say, all Biden had to do is go to the beach. If he would have just done nothing, we would have now the strongest border we've ever had. It was even getting better and better and better because it was all kicking in.
According to a May poll, 54% of Americans disapprove of President Biden's handling of immigration policies since taking office in January, compared to 43% who approve. Since last October, more than 1 million migrants have been arrested for illegally crossing into the U.S.
Because, you know, we're not only talking about people, millions of people are coming in, but we're talking about drugs, we're talking about human trafficking.
CBN News correspondent Tara Mergener is at the southern border now.
Human smuggling arrests are now skyrocketing here in the Rio Grande Valley. In Hidalgo County alone, they are now making several a day.
President Trump plans to hold another rally in Florida this weekend, with more events planned in the future as he hits the campaign trail for GOP candidates running in 2022. Wendy?
Abigail, happy 4th to you.
You too.
Well, when we come back, religious minorities in Afghanistan are bracing for the worst as the U.S. prepares to end the longest war.
When I came to Regent University, it's like the world opened up. I felt like I needed to advance my career and go back to school. Regent was a perfect fit for me. The Regent professors are world-class. You are equipped. The focus of the faculty is on each individual student, whether it's online or in person. You become a part of Regent's family. You carry with you not just the content and the knowledge, but the confidence to understand that we can be significant in the world.
Regent University. Follow your path.
Nigerian Christians
in Iran are routinely arrested.
Happily, Christians continue to suffer.
In times of trial and affliction, you need to know the truth.
One of the fastest growing Christian populations in the world.
Join Wendy Griffith and George Thomas for Christian World News.
Young people are the ones who are open to the gospel.
Powerful stories of suffering and hope that affect all Christians. Saturday night at 6 on the CBN News Channel. Get Protect Your Sleep and discover how to improve the quality of your life. A free DVD or booklet from the Christian Broadcasting Network.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
5 leading experts help remove the obstacles between you and restorative sleep.
When you don't get a restful night's sleep, you wake up with an accumulation of stress.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com to get your free DVD or booklet today.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
You'll discover how food affects your sleep, how to put insomnia to rest, explore effective remedies for sleep apnea, and much more in Protect Your Sleep. Wake up to your best life and get Protect Your Sleep today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com to get your free DVD or booklet.
Tikkun Olam.
This is our nature as a country.
To make the world a better place.
Literally, we felt the earth shaking.
The Christian Broadcasting Network presents To Life, how Israeli volunteers are changing the world.
This film needs to be seen by everyone.
I was in tears.
Now you can own the inspiring documentary To Life on DVD.
There is blood on our hands if we know and we walk away.
I'm so grateful that this film was made.
To Life can be yours for a gift of $10 or more. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to cbn.com.
We know that every minute counts to save life.
It'll bless Israel, but it'll also bless all the friends of Israel.
Discover the untold story of how Israeli volunteers are making the world a better place. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to cbn.com to get your copy today.
Back to Faith Nation. With a looming September deadline for U.S. troops to withdraw from Afghanistan, religious minorities in the region brace for even more violence by the Taliban and other Islamic extremist groups. Jennifer Wishon has more.
Since May, the Taliban has seized about a quarter of Afghanistan's districts. Now Christians are asking for prayer as they and other religious minorities find themselves easy targets of extremists.
The withdrawal will make these vulnerable communities even more vulnerable. It's as simple as that.
Security conditions have failed religious minorities as Islamic extremists run roughshod across the country.
They all are under fairly serious attack by extremist groups, particularly ISIS-K and the Taliban.
In a hearing this week, the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom discussed the plight of non-Sunni Muslim Afghans. The Sikh population is nearly extinct, dropping from 250,000 in the 1990s to just 200 today.
It's devastating. And the houses of worship, the guadaras of the Sikh community are constantly destroyed. Religious services are attacked.
Women and girls are heavily traumatized. Young girls have limited or no education. Families worry about their future prospects.
The commission recommends U.S.-injected protections for religious freedom in peace negotiations between the Taliban and Afghan government. Add Afghanistan to the State Department's special watch list for tolerating violations of religious freedom, and put U.S. tax dollars towards specifically protecting religious minorities.
When we hear Taliban spokespeople discussing plans to Islamicize the country, the international community needs to recognize the vulnerability that minorities are exposed.
As U.S. service members pack up their gear, leaders aren't optimistic. This graphic video reportedly showing Taliban fighters firing on Afghan soldiers in the north.
We're starting to create conditions here that won't look good for Afghanistan in the future if there's a push for a military takeover.
So far, the U.S.-Afghan deal hasn't led to peace. Religious freedom advocates hope keeping a spotlight on the situation will help. Jennifer Wishon, CBN News.
Coming up, a picture of happier times, how the royal princes are honoring their late mother, Princess Diana, next.
Christians around the world are standing with the Israelis. But why? In CBN's free magazine, Friends of Israel, you'll discover why Christians are supporting the Jewish state, how Israel is fulfilling prophecy as a light to the nations, and ways you can pray for the people of Israel. Israel needs the support of friends like you. Call now or go to cbn.com to get your free copy of Friends of Israel.
Heavenly Father, we do thank you for the work of your Spirit, Lord God, with this movement of getting the Bible,
yes,
Lord, into public schools.
Watch The Prayer Link. Tuesday morning at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Finally tonight, after months apart, the royal princes put their differences aside to honor their to honor their late mother on what have been her 60th birthday with a gift fit for a princess. Britain's Prince William and his brother, Prince Harry, were reunited today for the unveiling of a life-size statue of Diana, Princess of Wales. The figure of Diana is surrounded by 3 children who represent the generational impact of the princess's work that her sons commissioned. Her sons commissioned the statue together in 2017 to reflect her love, strength, and character. The statue stands in the sunken garden at Kensington Palace, one of Diana's favorite places at her former home. And they called her the People's Princess for a reason. Well, that is going to do it for this edition of Faith Nation. We hope to see you tomorrow. From all of us here, God bless you and good night.